so I would like start it and then throw it away and then start again. But this is the one I accepted at the end. So, you know, like I could stand here and I could talk to all of you for hours about Deja. I could talk about how she was always creating beautiful things and things that were weird and sometimes downright disturbing. She drew, she wrote poems, she sang songs. Some of her artwork is absolutely breathtaking, and some of it made her first grade art teacher a little nervous. She loved showing people what she made. Hey, look at this new thing I drew. This was Deja's way of saying, this is what my heart looks like today. She actually started art therapy when she was only 4 years old in order to process the loss of her father. Many of you have a drawing, a painting, or a little piece of art she gave you. Would you guys raise your hands if someone has some kind of art piece that Deja has at some point given you? Please take pictures, send them to me. I would love to see them. Keep your original. They're your gift. And if you don't have any, we have temporary tattoos on the memorial table. You can sport her cat anus. I could also spend countless hours talking about how my daughter was one of the most intense paradoxes I've ever known. Deja could be unbelievably generous and unbelievably self-centered. She was the little girl who would pick wildflowers for her mama every single time she went outside. The relentless teenager who would always make me pull over on the side of the road so she could feed someone who was homeless or hungry. No, Mom, we cannot keep driving. You have to stop. This person needs food. So we go to Chipotle or something. The overactive kid whose persistent boredom would inspire projects, like the time she went door to door collecting for Hospitality House. Or the young disabled adult who would spend her Social Security check buying meals for other people in Charlotte who were struggling with addiction and homelessness. Mom, I have a $400 Walmart cart. Please send this here. That girl was not eating $400 worth of food. That was my girl. If any of you have experienced some kind of random act of kindness from Deja, please raise your hand. She was so unbelievably loving. And I can't wait to hear all of your stories, and thank you for sharing them. That's why I have us here all day long. But let's be really honest, because Deja would have hated if I stood up here pretending like she was perfect. She wasn't. My girl was incredibly stubborn. And when she decided she wants something, fuck. Y'all, she put so many holes in my wall. She broke furniture. She slammed doors. She argued with anyone who dared to tell her no. In fact, seriously, she adamantly and consistently told her family therapist the word no was her biggest trigger. Have y'all ever tried to, like, parent a child who's like, you can't tell me no? Yeah. So raise your hand if you were ever in an authority position over Deja. Babysitter, teacher, counselor, psychiatrist. How'd that go for you? She could be funny, hilarious even, exhausting, brilliant, infuriating, compassionate, destructive, all before lunch. She was the walking contradiction, and somehow she was completely herself in all of it. I could stand here for hours telling you countless funny and or traumatic stories. And if you're a close friend of mine, you've likely heard about my 90-page spreadsheet.
I've seen it.
Yeah, it's pretty impressive. But really, I think the main point of my eulogy is for everyone to understand something really important. My kid was a goddamn superhero. And I don't say that because she died. I've been calling her that since she was 9 years old. It's our own personal hashtag. Hashtag she's my superhero. Because when Deja was 7, she was diagnosed with juvenile onset bipolar disorder, a hereditary and life-debilitating mental illness, and the doctors wanted medication immediately, but I said no, absolutely not. Not because I didn't believe them, but because I was scared. Because bipolar is a hereditary illness that has plagued my family for generations, and it's literally the reason of my own traumatic childhood with my mother, my grandfather, and my 3 siblings who all have bipolar episodes that range from depression to psychosis, schizophrenia even. And I watched my family spend years struggling to find the right medications, and to be honest, often the meds make it worse, really worse, lethally so. And so I wanted to try everything else first. So yeah, I was no red dyes, maybe some CBD. And medicating my child was the last resort. And I was in Boone, so it was the perfect place to be a hippie, earther, mom, boony culture. So I'm okay, I dove deep. Organic food only, omega-3s, magnesium, 0 sugar, artificial dyes, acupuncture, yoga. Have you tried journaling? Mindfulness, essential oils, hematite bracelets, moon charge crystals, and lots of prayer to all the gods and goddesses. Love and logic parenting classes. Oh, that was my favorite. Because it's really hard to be logical with a child whose frontal lobe doesn't understand logical, rational brain. And they're be logical with your kid. And I'm no, it's not working. I switched her from the public school because she got kicked out in kindergarten and 1st grade. And they're you need to medicate your child. So I'm we're going to the hippie school. I am so sorry that none of my 2 Rivers teachers were able to make it today, but they sent all their love. I tried every natural, holistic, and unconventional approach I could find, and I wanted so badly for one of them to work. But they didn't. And so by the time she was 9, my girl was suffering. She was hurting herself, banging her head on hard concrete, manic fits of laughter that lasted hours, hurting other people, hallucinating, literally climbing on rooftops, living in absolute terror inside her own mind. And so then finally, when nothing else had worked, I sat beside my tiny 9-year-old girl on her bed with a 2 milligram tablet of an antipsychotic, Abilify, in my hand, used to regulate her mood disorder. And she looked at me and she said, "Mommy, why do I have to take this medicine? Why doesn't Sebastian and Charlize have to take it?" How do you answer that question without damaging your child? So I thought for a moment, and finally I replied, "Baby girl, some people in our family have superpowers. And you're really special because you feel everything bigger and you have stronger emotions, and because more energy flows through your body than the average person. Your energy and emotions are more intense, they're more heated, you're like a chispa. You're more creative, you're more passionate, and you're capable of incredible world-changing things. But just like superheroes, if you don't learn how to control those powers, they can accidentally hurt themselves and hurt people they love, kind of like Hulk." She was 9, right? I had to bring this back. "Unchecked superpowers are dangerous. Deja, take the med. So this medicine is here not because you're broken, baby girl, but because you are in superhero training camp." And she looked at me and she smiled with all of her trust and her adoration. And she said, "Okay, Mommy." And then she swallowed that pill. Just like that. And from that day forward, this is a story that we wrote, that she wrote. Deja never refused her meds. Well, only in an empowered way, that's the wrong medication, bitch. I cannot take an SSRI. She learned to call the cops when she felt suicidal or violent because there was no mental health crisis teams existing. She went willingly into most of her treatments, even the shitty traumatic emergency rooms, which are another thing I could literally talk hours about. She went very enthusiastically to wilderness therapy at Sus of the Carolinas and Pisco National Forest. She loved how she felt when she lived in residential treatment in Elida Homes in Asheville. Look, this is what I wish everyone would understand. There is no cure for this invisible and deadly illness. And yes, I mean deadly. Fact, people with bipolar disorder are 6 times more likely to die before their time from external causes, accidents, violence, suicide, than people who aren't diagnosed with this condition. My girl was born with a relentless, lifelong, difficult, and cruel battle ahead of her. It was like having seizures in the emotional part of her brain. And oftentimes that illness made her say things she didn't mean. And it made her destroy things. And it made her hurt the people she loved the most. But she kept trying over and over and over again. Because she believed that she was training to become the hero that she truly wanted to be. And in between those storms was the girl who picked wildflowers for her mama, and the girl who gave away food she couldn't afford, and the artist who poured her soul into every sketchbook, and the young woman who loved people with her whole heart. And she laughed with her entire soul. The illness was real, and so was she. And people saw the outbursts, but they didn't see the fight. And they didn't see the psychiatric appointments, and the therapist appointments, and the medication changes, and the hospitalizations, and the 14 psychiatric admissions, and the 53 days in wilderness therapy, and the 18 months in residential treatment, and years of CBT therapy, DBT therapy, intensive in-home therapy, MST, meetings, evaluations, heartbreak. They didn't see her getting back up every single time. And there were moments that she wanted to give up. Moments she talked about dying. I had poetry on this table. She was 12 and she was writing about wanting to die. Moments that terrified every single person who loved her. But she kept fighting. And she fought. She kept fighting because my daughter wasn't difficult to love. She was difficult to save. We never stopped trying. Not her, not me, not our family, not Dr. Brown, not the people who truly saw her. We never stopped trying. And when I said goodbye to my daughter, I kissed every inch of that beautiful face, and I sang the same lullabies that I sang to her when she was a baby, but she couldn't answer me. But somehow I think she already knew she'd won her fight, because bipolar didn't take away her compassion, it didn't take away her creativity, and it didn't take away her ability to love. And it certainly didn't take away her ability to save other people. My daughter spent 24 years fighting battles that nobody could see. And she fought her own brain, and she fought stigma, and she fought misunderstanding, and she fought shame. And every time she fell, she got back up. Because that's what superheroes do. And then somehow, in true Deja style, she left the world flying and saving lives. And 4 families today now have someone to love because my daughter gave her organs. And I guess I'll just end with saying, don't tell me superheroes aren't real, because I raised one.